once again, because they've put us back on 9 hours, I circled the parking lot for like 10 freaking minutes. And it's like, call me an arrogant bastard, but I'm not parking this thing in a standard space because I just got this car on Monday. Okay, and I am not going to have the same thing happen to it that happened to my first new car. The very first new car I owned, I got it in the fall or somewhere later in the year of 2007. It was a 2008 Mazda CX-7. And not even 6 months later, I had a crease in my door right through the seam line where there's no way ever to fix it. And it was there to the time I traded in the car 8 years later. There was no way to fix it without removing the entire panel and replacing it. And all because and it was done deliberately. Even though I was driving a Mazda was in the Ford family of cars again. So but that's not all. All right. Of course, as we all know, I love how a couple of low-brain Neanderthals are getting guest spots. That's another thing I can't stand is YouTubers. Just because you have a certain number of subscribers, you're now a professional journalist. Your opinion is unbiased. You are now an expert. I was like watching a couple of these idiots on Piers Morgan, and I'm like, dude, you're talking to a dude who owns a comic shop and a what do you call it? What obvious professional pedigree do they have? You're talking to a pair of guys that are throwing hissy fits over pretty much nothing, or they're just stating the obvious, which anybody can do. How can you sit there with a straight face and refer to somebody by their YouTube names and consider them to be, well, they've got so many subscribers. I could have so many subscribers. It's not really that hard. But how many playthroughs? Oh gosh, you see, my playthroughs last forever because I generally do a lot of settlement building. It really is, if you really want to have a deep meditative time, plan and build settlements. And also, I don't like making my settlements look like skyscraper fortresses and all that. I've only just now started building like multi-story structures and things like that, just because I'm trying different things. And yeah, you do get bored of it eventually, but the trick is to keep your. It's not just because of combat or quests. It's using your mind creatively. It's mainly the settlement building I enjoy. Because after you've got, a few mods in there, especially for settlement building, plus there are, settlements out there that just genuinely challenge you. There's a lot of guys who take the easy route and they'll level out the terrain. I know, I've done that a few times myself. But like I said, it's building on terrain that, like if you ever get a chance, I kind of cheat myself out on this last run. Get the Listening Post Bravo settlement. That one's fun to build in. It's a limited space. You got to deal with the terrain. Then you got huge ass settlements like the Hunter's Island. I could build a Hunter's Island for days. Oh no, we don't mention Gone with the Wind anymore, or the fact that Hattie McDaniel was in it, who's one of an Oscar winner, because it's not politically correct anymore to mention Gone with the Wind. Even though a lot of people don't even mention the fact that who are throwing these fits. Oh great, my brain just froze up. The lead male actor in that movie. Shit. Throw me a bone here. I'm having a blank moment. See, it was Way Caught and it's gonna hit me in a few minutes. Clark Gable. I think it was Clark Gable. Yeah, thank you for throwing me a bone there. It's been a while since I looked this up. But Clark Gable threatened to walk off the set when he found out that the bathrooms at the studio were segregated. He said, you either take those damn signs down or I'm walking off this picture. But you never hear about that, do you? You just hear about that evil movie that talks about the evil antebellum era. Oh, that's right. And you're not even allowed to use it. Like, I die laughing at all these bands, like the Dixie Chicks. Remember the Dixie Chicks who made a big name by talking out against George Bush, yet the second Dixie became a dirty word. They dropped it like a bad habit. That to me would be enough for me to say, well, you guys, Dixie, the land as itself, is not bad. It's sure the practices that happened there over a century ago are bad. Just like, our government is going to spend, God knows, countless millions of dollars. Any army fort that's named after somebody who was in the Civil War is getting renamed. Do you realize how many millions of dollars that's going to cost? Changing all the paperwork, changing all the designations, changing all the names on the buildings, changing all the signs around the forts. How that's going to add up over some nonsense shit that was over and done a century before I was born. I'm getting sick of this dumb shit. I am getting sick of people trying to crucify me and everybody else over something 4%. Let me reiterate that one more time. 4% of the total population was doing a century before I was born. Yet now they want the other 100% to pay for it a century later. Actually, no, it's going on a century and a half later. I'm just accounting for the fact that I was born in 1971. The war between the states and slavery, all that was outlawed and done in 1865. Yet now you got people saying I owe them money for pain and suffering. Really? Why don't we talk about one of my relatives who is Irish, who was brought here against their will? Or one of my other relatives who was full-blooded Cherokee Indian. Do I get money? Ugh. Yeah, unfortunately, David Tennant got all the good looks, the bastard. So yeah, that's why I sound a little bitter about all this stupid-ass nonsense that's going on out there. Like, I supposedly have all this privilege. Like, guys, the highest paying job I had until 2004 was $9 an hour. And they'll claim nepotism and all that. I go, yeah, my family does such a die-hard job at getting me into Ford that, they managed to take 14 years to do it. Did that on my own by putting my paperwork in when I was old enough. I bounced from jobs that were $5 an hour. And like I said, the highest paying one I had was $9 an hour working security. That's why I'm sick and tired of hearing all these myths. It's like, where was my dad's privilege when he was making 50 cents a day picking vegetables and fruits and vegetables out in a frickin', the Mississippi sun from the time he was old enough to walk? If they were lucky, they got $1 for a day's labor, him and his sisters. I know, that's still sad of that whole era. But you know what? She still won it. Instead of condemning ourselves for our past, why don't we start praising the fact that we've come so far? Yet now in the last few years, people are drumming this shut up again, and one of the biggest movements that had any involvement in this collected $90 million in a year and have yet to account for where and none of that money made it back to the communities it was supposedly going to. Yet one of the founders of that organization has now got a $6 million mansion they bought, and the only community function happening there was one of their kids' birthday parties. See, that's what I mean. It's bass backwards. It makes me sad too. I don't know if they'll make another series of Obi-Wan. Because as far as I'm concerned, it was a great series. They got all the way to the end and then they screwed the pooch. What was the point of leaving Vader alive again? Well, I could take care of you now. But maybe this whole Death Star thing might have been put on delay a little bit, or because Palpatine would have to go out and find another apprentice, and would not find one unless he somehow made another midichlorian baby. I could whack you right now and save generations of people a lot of trouble later. Right? It's destined for your kid to kill you, so I'm going to wave off. Also, I'm going to be yet another guy who's going to hack off a piece of your helmet, like Ahsoka Tano did when she was only an apprentice. That's what I mean. They have done everything they can to pussify Darth Vader in the last so many years. It's been making me sick. Why not? Yeah. Who needs midichlorians? Just have a couple kids bump, a nice young man and a young woman bump uglies in a TARDIS, and there you go. But what I'm trying to say is, don't judge people by their covers. Don't judge people by whatever color they are. Don't judge them by what God they follow. And we'll have a far better world. Quit judging people from the past sins of their ancestors. Just accept what's going on in front of you today. Well, I got to get inside because I gave you a few extra minutes, but I am way beyond deadline here. So take care, everybody. Please be kind, be calm, be safe. Enjoy your day. Have a good one. And we will see you all hopefully tomorrow morning. Take care, everyone.